What if I told you an election just ended where half the country couldn't vote? This is Kenya News Update today. Coming up, you'll discover how a military-backed party is set for a landslide in a vote critics call a sham, and what this means for a nation trapped in civil war. The polls in Myanmar have closed after a third and final stage of voting. But here's the twist. This wasn't a normal democratic exercise. It was a month-long process widely viewed as a sham. Many popular parties were banned, and voting was not possible in large areas of the country because of a 5-year-long civil war. The dominant party backed by the ruling military junta is expected to win a landslide victory. The current regime has rejected international criticism, maintaining the election is free and fair. But here's what nobody's talking about: the climate of fear. A BBC team visited several polling stations in Shan State. They described a scene that, on the surface, looked orderly and peaceful. Set in a large school, shaded by huge rain trees, there were ample volunteers and officials to guide voters. They used new, locally made electronic voting machines. You could be forgiven for believing this was normal. However, polling day was preceded by a campaigning period marked by fear and intimidation. And then, something shocking happened. Everywhere the BBC team traveled in southern Shan State, they were followed and closely monitored by dozens of police and military officials. Always polite but very persistent. It proved nearly impossible to get people to say anything about the vote, so nervous were they of possible repercussions. The next steps are already laid down in the military-drafted constitution. Parliament will meet within the next 2 months to choose a new president. And everyone expects that to be the coup leader, General Min Aung Hlaing. It will be the same regime, just in civilian clothes, but he will then have to relinquish his command of the armed forces. His replacement is certain to be a loyalist, but his hold over the ranks of the military will inevitably be less secure. And it is no secret that many other senior officers do not believe he has made a good job of leading the country. With many more voices in politics, there is the possibility of wider debate inside government over which direction to take. But the opposition and ethnic armed groups who control much of the country have already rejected the entire process. They say it legitimizes military rule. For the people of Myanmar, this is a seismic shift, but here's the part that will blow your mind. In the last free election in 2020, this same military-backed party won only 6% of parliamentary seats. Now they are set for total control. This election was held in 3 rounds. The first was on December 28, the second on January 11, and this final stage just concluded. Around 1/5 of the country's 330 townships, including the major cities of Yangon and Mandalay, voted in this last phase. 6 parties, including the military-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party, fielded candidates nationwide. Another 51 parties and independent candidates contested at state and regional levels. The 2 previous rounds gave overwhelming victories to the USDP. The implications are huge. Some say this is a step, however flawed, toward a civilian government. Others say it's a sham that cements military power. The controversy is global. But the real tension is on the ground. In a country gripped by civil war, where about half the territory saw no voting at all, what does this result even mean? The people live in fear. The generals prepare for power, and the world watches. But if this wasn't a real election, what was it? Do you think the international community should recognize this result? Drop your take in the comments. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more breaking world news that impacts us all.